Monitoring Hurricane Laura in the Gulf of Mexico as it approaches the Louisiana and Texas coast as it continues to strengthen for the next 24 hours. Howdy, friend. Chief Meteorologist Shel Winkley alongside with you. Here's our tropical timeline for the Brazos Valley. We sleep easy Tuesday night into Wednesday and sleep good because some of us will have a bit of a noisy night by the time we get to Wednesday night. But Wednesday afternoon, we can see some scattered rain, some heavy downpours from the very outer bands of Laura. And as those blow through, the heaviest rain could bring squally winds 30-40 miles per hour. It is expected to make landfall shortly after midnight Thursday near the Texas and Louisiana border. But that means the wind in the Brazos Valley, or at least parts of our area, could pick up as early as midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning. And then between sunrise and lunchtime, that is when the biggest impacts, mainly wind. This is a wind event for the Brazos Valley, is expected to unfold. So here we are, the latest update from the Hurricane Center coming in at 7 p.m. But as of the 4 o'clock update, winds are in excess of 80. But notice this afternoon, there's a little more cloud cover coming around the north and west side of Laura. It is strengthening, and the reason being is that today it spent time over this blue strip, which is the cooler waters from the wake of Marco, making its northbound journey over the weekend and early this week. That's cooler waters below the surface, but what it's walking into, this greenish color, that's warm waters at the surface and below the surface. So as Laura churns the Gulf of Mexico, it has plenty of fuel to feed from. Latest version of the forecast from the National Hurricane Center again brings it inland as a minimal Category 3, which is a major hurricane. So winds sustained, not gusting, but sustained upwards of 115 miles per hour before drifting north either through far east Texas or along that Texas and Louisiana border. But you'll notice these colorful lines, those are computer forecast models, and there's still some that come into the western side of the forecast cone. As of the latest forecast, the margin of error is about 60 miles from where the Hurricane Center has the path of this storm. So you shift that a little further, 30, 40, maybe 50 miles to the west, and that means bigger impacts as it comes to that outer edge of the cone, which means bigger impacts a little closer to the Navasota River as we continue on. Here's kind of the broad flow around Laura. The rain, the biggest winds come right with the path up through East Texas. The biggest storm surge, upwards of about 12 feet, possible along the Louisiana coastline. That's also where bands of heavy rain come out of the Gulf of Mexico, and severe weather could be a possibility. For the Brazos Valley, though, it's the inverse of what you would think with a hurricane. This thing will be close to home, but the rain will be lacking on the current path for most of the area. And by the afternoon, as Laura pulls away, we may find temperatures surging near 100 degrees. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for Houston, Madison, Grimes, as well as Waller County. Points off to the east. That's where we could see tropical storm force winds. And I think the earliest estimate of when those winds could begin shortly after midnight for many until about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. The further north and east you go, the highest wind gusts that we could find, Trinity, 40 to 50 miles per hour. Huntsville could find wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour. Cold Spring, San Jacinto County in our area, I think that's where we find the highest winds between midnight and about 8 o'clock in the morning, 50, 60 mile per hour winds that very well could do some damage and throw some of your belongings in the yard. That is what we will be monitoring for. So here's a version of Pinpoint Forecast. Again, based off the best information that we have, watch Laura make landfall there across southeast Texas. But by about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, we've already brought wind gusts anywhere from 40 to 55 miles per hour across our southeastern counties and close to about 40 miles per hour there along the I-40 corridor. Here in Bryan and College Station, as well as everybody that's off to the west of the Navasota River, not inside of that tropical storm warning, but I think gusts 20, maybe 30 along the Highway 6 corridor. Not completely ruled out through Thursday morning. So below severe limits, but it will be a gusty start to the day. Here's 8 o'clock in the morning. I think right around sunrise is when we see some of the highest wind gust speeds across that eastern portion of our area, again along and east of I-45. Then by lunchtime, we start to pull the winds away as Laura begins to move northeast of the Brazos Valley. We'll still find some afternoon gusts, 20, 25, maybe up to 30. But I think the afternoon is going to be a lot more settled around here than what Thursday morning will be like. A lot of folks have been asking for rain, and it's going to be disappointing for you if you're looking for rain. Wednesday, again, the outer bands of Laura could bring some heavy downpours, and again, that could push winds 30, 40 miles per hour as that rain is falling. We'll call it a 50% chance for rain. Again, knowing the best track that we have for Laura, notice all of the rain that is east of our backyard. Rain bands possible from I-45 eastbound. That's where we could pick up 1 to 3 inches of rain. But notice the sharp cutoff that happens west of I-45. All of that rain is expected to move through East Texas. This is where the gusty rains will be. But for a lot of us, cloud cover, maybe a little bit of sprinkle activity, but I do think that the rainfall will be dry for most of the Brazos Valley through the day on Thursday. Again, the thing that could change that is any shift in that track to the west through East Texas and a little closer to the Brazos Valley will also shift the rain band potential further east to west through the area. We get our next update from the National Hurricane Center in at 10 p.m. We'll bring that to you at the very top of News 3 at 10. Until then, keep an eye on KBTX.com and, of course, your KBTX Pinpoint Weather app.